Greetings, vinyl community, and Happy New Year's to everyone. I hope everyone had a safe and happy New Year's Eve last night, and hope everyone's having a great New Year's Day today, whatever you're doing out there. For the first time in 2019, cheers everyone. What I got for you today is a couple Christmas gifts for my wife that aren't vinyl, but vinyl related. And I would like to share that with you. So I know you're on the edge of your seats right now wondering what that is. But anyways, it kind of ties in with a little bit of an upgrade I did on my stereo system that I also want to share with you. So if you're here just for the vinyl, you might want to skip to the part where I'm holding something up. But yeah, I'd like to share that with you anyways. I got one new record in the mail, and my usual thrift store finds, and a couple of things I got from local stores in my city. So without further ado, another drink of coffee. For the first time since I've known my wife, I didn't get vinyl for Christmas, which was really appreciated because you guys all know I ain't hurting for vinyl. But this was one of the biggest surprises I've ever got in my life for Christmas because it's something I never thought I would ever get, because it's a little bit more than I would pay for this product, or you'll see what I'm talking about. And then the way she wrapped it, I just couldn't figure out what it was because she's really good at that, and I'm not, so it's easy to swerve me. And then when I realized what it was, I absolutely had no clue how she found out that this is what I wanted. So this is what I'm going to show you right now, anyways, and then I'll kind of I'll abbreviate any story. But this is from my wife. This is a Nazz MP110 cartridge. Maybe one of the most highly regarded cartridges within its price range. This is about $80 to $100 more than I spend on cartridges normally. I've been running Grado black cartridges for the last little while. And I think if I kind of put my thinking cap on, which I don't do very often, I'm guessing she looked at my Amazon cart and noticed it had been sitting there for probably a year, and that I wouldn't pull the trigger. In my parts, at least on Amazon, it's about a $180 cartridge, and that, as my wife told me, it's a little bit cheaper locally. So would never ever think I would never think I would own something like this, because, you know, like I always tell you guys, I'm cheap as. And I never would have splashed out for this, but she did the homework, and then she found this locally, which is amazing enough that she did that much footwork. My wife continues to amaze me. I'm not worthy of her, that's for sure. But yeah, and I'm gonna go into this really briefly after I show you my next gift for my wife, which is kind of vinyl related, and you can kind of see if your screen's wide enough, you can kind of see it right there. But anyways. Nazz MP110, and I'll talk about this briefly in a second. This is the gift my wife was going to wrap. So if you can guess what this is, she made this out of a cardboard box because she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to set up the real thing in time, or how she was going to present it to me for Christmas. You are correct if you think this is a new record shelf, and it is. After a long time, probably 2-3 years of her not wanting me to add more shelving units to my collection. I have quite a few. And then I promised her I wouldn't add any more shelving units, that if I added more, I'd take more out, etc., etc., etc. What does she do? You can kind of see it right there. She got me a new IKEA calyx, which is what I use for all my vinyl. And no, I don't get a plug for that, but IKEA. So yeah, it's just her representation of getting me a new shelf. Once again, amazing. It's gifts like that that actually are a lot more meaningful to me than vinyl, because it's things I actually need as opposed to want. I need another shelf because the vinyl. I'm looking around to my music, you know, you guys have seen that room over there before. I ran out of room for vinyl over there, and I think she just got tired of seeing it all over the floors. So my amazing wife comes through again, and the thing is, we kind of agreed not to buy each other gifts. So, and then we both lied to each other because I got her something really nice too. But anyways, she spoiled me. Gave me a new cartridge, which I did actually need, and then a new shelf, which is filled already. Go figure. So anyways, I know I talk about my wife a lot, but I'm constantly amazed at how supportive she is of my hobby. Obsession. It's obsession. So anyways, really quickly, online reports, people say, take it with a grain of salt. It takes about 30 hours to burn this cartridge in. I'm not a big believer in the burn-in, I'm using quotation marks again, the burn-in theory behind cartridges and speakers, etc., etc., etc. And I'm not here to start a debate on that. But regardless of that, if it sounds better in 30 hours playtime, great. But out of the box, it was absolutely fantastic. And I got to do one of these music room update tours because I've done a lot of little tweaks to my system, which I'll kind of outline right now because it goes into something else I bought last night. The house that we live in now, it's an older house. There's a lot of, this all ties in, trust me, it all ties in. So anyways, this sounded fantastic out of the box, but there was still a kind of an underlying problem that I was having is this house is a bit older. I think it might be 1950s or something like that. So that's older, relatively speaking. And the wiring is probably of its time. So I was having a lot of problem with electrical interference. You know, you guys might know what I'm talking about, but you know, there's a lot of hiss that had nothing to do with the stereo connections or anything like that. It was just if the stereo was on and I turned the light on, you'd hear a pop, an audible pop, and just a lot of static, and which is inherent within, I don't know if there's the wiring or just where I live, there's lots of things coming in and out of the house for, I don't know, radio waves, cell phone shit, I don't know. So what I did is I got a power conditioner online a couple months ago. It's one of those units you kind of plug everything into and it takes away a lot of the noise, and it did take away a lot of it, but not all of it. So last night I thought I got this beautiful new cartridge, and I thought, well, it would be a shame if I didn't try to solve that other problem because the cartridge was so good that I thought, well, you know what, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna buy a phono preamp. Although I didn't need one, I thought I would give that a try. So what I did is I went down to a local store last night and I got one of these Pile, PP999 is the product number. Not that I'm sponsored by Pile. Come on, Pile. Anyways, and I thought, you know what? Good for bad. If it doesn't do anything, you know, I'll return it. It was 25 bucks. And if it worked, then great. So I plugged this in. I hooked everything up. I bought new RCAs, shielded RCAs, and I have to tell you, between that and the power conditioner and buying the new shielded RCA cables, I have, as of last night, I've eliminated all the static noise, all the kind of ambient interference I was getting. And my stereo has never sounded as good as it did last night. And I played it again today and it still sounds amazing. So why am I telling you this? There are fixes and there's a little things you can do that I was kind of negligent to do. I kind of thought the power conditioner was the be all end all. And if it didn't, that didn't solve it. But you know what? You know, I could have spent a lot more money getting like let's say a project phono box. But I didn't want to spend that much money just to see, like I said, if this didn't work, I can return it. If not, I'm out 25 bucks. But I put this, if you don't know what this phono preamp does, everyone should know what this is. The ground wire hooks into it, the RCAs from the turntable. I bought new RCAs for my turntable as well, so that really helped out a lot. Plugs into there, the ground wire goes into here, and then this goes into your receiver. And the sound difference is, maybe this is my first audiophile video. I'm hope I'm not boring you all. But I just had to pass that along. Is between the cartridge the power conditioner in this little thing last night. $25 fix, and like I said, my stereo has absolutely never sounded as amazing as it does now. Whew. And you guys know that I'm not a super snob audiophile. It's just that hiss and the buzz was really bothering me, and it didn't really do the cartridge justice. Although it sounded good, I thought, well, you know, I'm gonna spend a couple extra bucks and see what more I can do for it. And it's like I have a whole new stereo. Cheers, everyone. So yeah, that kind of ties in with the cartridge. It has nothing to do with this CD shelf though, or vinyl shelf. I say CD shelf because I'm staring at a bank of them right opposite you there. Okay, that's my stereo talk. Nazz Nomad's audiophile stereo, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, like I said, you guys know I'm not an audiophile snob. I like my room to be cozy. You know, I do very, very well with kind of mid-range equipment, and I'm happy with that. So, and I think that's kind of atypical of most people out there. So like I said, if you got something out of that, great. If not, I hope you have skipped ahead to the vinyl. One new record in the mail, and this derived out of me being incredibly pissed off over something. We do a Secret Santa at work. And I know people from work watch this. Every year I put down the same thing. You know, give me an Amazon gift card. Give me an Amazon gift card. I never, every year, I don't get an Amazon gift card. I get something completely off the wall. So but you know, this year I was banking on getting that gift card, and I had something kind of in my cart that I really wanted. That was that price. And then we come to our gift exchange Christmas Eve, and what did I get? A bottle of wine, which is nice. Not dissing the wine. I don't drink. My wife sure loved it. So this gets back to the person who bought me that. I'm not dissing your present. I had just planned on something else, and I don't drink. So, anyways, so I was kind of again this year I got fucking screwed again. So this was in my cart, and sorry, that was kind of a nowhere story, but out of anger, I left our gift exchange and went back to my desk, and I got this. This was in the Amazon warehouse clearance, and I had wanted it for a long time, and it finally kept on dropping and dropping, then it dropped to 25 bucks, and I jumped on it. David Bowie Heathen. This is not any ordinary pressing of Heathen. The one you can get now has that little blue sticker, I love vinyl, we love vinyl, or whatever, and it's a pressing. This is the oh, I should show you. This came in this wrapping. As it's a warehouse clearance item, it'd been opened by someone and returned, or I don't know what the deal was. But this is the high quality HQ 180 pressing, if you can see that. And there's the Amazon inspected return. I think the note on the Amazon description said it had damage cover, but like the other ones I've shown you, there's nothing wrong with this. But what's awesome about this is that A, it's the HQ 180 gram vinyl, but it's the orange splatter. So this was released by Friday Music, and sometimes Friday Music can be bad, but the David Bowie reissues that they do are absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I'm not sure if this is my second or third go around with the different copies of Heathen. By far the best one I've ever owned. The orange splatter vinyl is kind of just as a side note, but it's damn cool anyways. But this is the one I tested my whole system on last night with the new phono preamp and the cartridge, and it was just, man. Anyways, thank you to the person who didn't get me my gift card, because it kind of gave me a kick in the ass to get this orange vinyl. David Bowie Heathen. I'm full of long stories today, aren't I? This might be a record-long video. So if you're one of those people who like shorter videos, catch my next one. What do we got here? I'm going to show you some singles I got from, where are these from? These are kind of from various local stores, but continuing on in my Blondie theme from last video, I got a, I don't know if this is UK. This might be a UK copy of Call Me in the picture sleeve. The Canadian one definitely just came in a plain sleeve, but this one got another Sorry, it says in the back here, but I'm not gonna be bothered looking. Anyways, another Blondie find for me. A picture sleeve of Call Me, which if it's Blondie, I want the picture sleeves for obvious reasons. This one, the next two, I'm really excited about. The latter being one of my best finds of the year. But anyways, a copy of Susie and the Banshees' Peekaboo, which I really needed for DJing. On top of that, it's one of my favorite Susie and the Banshees songs. This is Canadian Geffen Records. I was happy to get that one. Now this one, let's talk about this one. Like I said, maybe one of my best finds of the year. I found this 2 days before the end of the year, so we'll call this one of my best finds of 2018. This is a Canadian promo copy of the Smiths' How Soon Is Now. About as rare as hen's teeth to find this one, to find a Canadian copy of it, but a promo copy of it. And what's good about this one is, once again, I'll be using this for DJing because it has the edit version on it. That's 3 minutes and 53 seconds long. The original being a lot longer. When you play it DJing, sometimes around the end, I don't know, I can't remember how long the original song is, but when it gets to around the end, people are kind of winded. It goes on for a while. But just as someone who collects Smith singles, this was one absolutely stellar find. This was from a local store in my town. The Smiths, Canadian promo copy of How Soon Is Now. Same song, both sides, as I almost drop it. Like I said, just one of my best finds of 2018 because I will use it for DJing, and it's just, I've never seen it before, and I will probably never see it again. All right, let's get to the thrift store finds. I might have to blow through these because the video's dragging on already. I hope you guys don't mind. It was nice and refreshing to talk about something not vinyl. My stereo. I don't know if I told you this, but best sound. It's so great right now. Just, and you know I'm gonna fuck it up somehow. I'm gonna drop coffee on it or something. Thrift store finds. These were from a couple days ago. It's been really dry lately, but I've been off all week. I was off all last week, or this week. I think I worked this week. I should check my schedule. From last week, I was off last week, so it kind of gave me, you know, get up early like old men do, and you know, go out when the vinyl gets put out. So I found this, the Beatles. This was $3.99. Long Tong. It's the Asian copy of this one now. Long Tall Sally by the Beatles. This is a very original pressing. This is the Capitol 6000 series. What's good about I think this this might have been only, I think this was only released in Canada under this title. The cover was the same in other countries like the UK, but it was called Second Album, I believe it was. But this was how it was released in Canada. And why am I very excited about this? Well, before I knew I was getting a shelf and I was making room in my shelving units, I had a placeholder copy that was pretty rough, and I pulled it and I just threw it in a box because it was taking up space. It was a little bit too rough to play. But this one is maybe one of the cleanest copies I've ever seen of this one. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I have to give it a spin clean. A little bit dusty. I haven't spun clean it yet. Original Capitol Rainbow labels. Like I said, it's got some dust on it, but no scratches, which is very, very rare because usually people bought this and they played the hell out of it. But what a find! Like I said, after a little bit of a dry spell, to find, what's this, 1964. The Beatles' Long Tall Sally has, you know, I Want to Hold Your Hand and all those songs like that. I ain't the biggest fan of early Beatles, but I'll take any Beatles I can get. I'm more of a kind of a post-Rubber Soul kind of guy. But anyways, I'm just blabbing on now. Long Tall Sally by the Beatles' original Capitol 6000 series pressing on the Capitol Rainbow labels. Monty Python. I'm just grabbing these randomly. But this, I've never had this one. Monty Python's Flying Circus. And what this is sketches from the TV series. And my previous Monty Python ones I've had, I think, are kind of like, you know, live performances. But you actually get the nudge, and you get the parrot sketch and all that stuff on this one. So I was really happy to get this one because I much prefer the audio recordings of the original TV sketches. So I'm trying to be quick now. Monty Python's Flying Circus on BBC Records / Pile Records. Just some standard finds. Dire Straits making movies. I think I already have a copy of this, but you know what? When in wintertime, when your thrift store finds are few and far between, relatively speaking to what I normally get, you tend to grab anything. So I grabbed Dire Straits making movies. Romeo and Juliet's an okay song. The rest of the album is kind of, it's okay. Patrice Rushen. Hang on. Just wait. Let me talk about her for 30 seconds. This is an original pressing on Prestige Records. It's a best of album. I've always kind of passed on her albums because I always thought they were kind of like disco. I kind of made that assumption that it was she was a disco artist, but she's not. Upon hearing this and kind of actually doing some investigation into her, she's a really great jazz, funk, R&B singer. And I was pleasantly surprised by this one. Patrice Rushen, like I said, if you're like me and you think she's a disco artist, I don't even know where I got that from. I just kind of made that leap. So, but I'll admit when I'm wrong. Great jazz. It's on Prestige, so it's kind of, it would have to be kind of jazz influence, but some great funk stuff on it as well, and R&B stuff. So Patrice Rushen, best of. Yeah, it's dry in here. There's some random stuff I'm going to pull here. The Staple Singers. This is from 1972 or 1974. Beatitude, Respect Yourself, The Staple Singers. This is on Stax Records. And when I saw it in the shelf, it was kind of sticking sideways, and all I saw was this. And then my heart started to race, because if it's on Stax Records, chances are it's going to be a pretty good listen. And I know the Staple Singers from one of the record stores I used to manage, where it was kind of, we sold a lot of kind of, we didn't sell top 40, so the Staple Singers and things like that got a lot of play in our store. And I don't know what else to tell you about it. I'm not a Staple Singers expert. I didn't know. I know what I've heard in my record stores of the past. But I've yet to play this one yet, so I can't really comment on it. But if it's on Stax Records, I'm all for it. So Staple Singers, Beatitude, Respect Yourself. Jackson Browne, an album that I'm not sure if I've ever seen this record. If I have, I just kind of haven't taken notice of it. Haven't seen it in a thrift store before, but 1973's For Every Man. Like I said, once again, I haven't played this one. I'm kind of very, very far behind listening to records. But it has Take It Easy, which I'm not sure if this is going to be the version that the Eagles did as well. But anyways, it's got people like David Lindley's on this album all over the place. I'm trying to think who else is on this that you would know. David Lindley's on it. We all know David Lindley. Anyways, 1973's For Every Man. Not a record I don't really see very often or haven't taken notice of. So I'm actually kind of curious about this album. I'll give this a listen. Let's see. Just one for the Canadians. Maybe actually the next two are for Canadians. Stompin' Tom, To It and At It. I've talked about him before. Legend in Canada. Very, very rarely do I find his albums in thrift stores or used where they're in decent condition. And this one definitely is. I might see if my friend Tom needs this one. He's a super fan of his. But if you don't know Stompin' Tom, I think I've talked about him before. You can always do a Google, but he's a Canadian country royalty. One for the Canadians, Stompin' Tom. Another one, Crowbar Classics. Crowbar was best known in Canada for the song Oh What a Feeling. And I was very surprised to go online and see this album is worth a few bucks. But I've never seen it before. Crowbar Classics, Memories Are Made of This. Like I said, it's one of those things you pick up because it's a bit dry out there. But on the upside, it's worth a few bucks, so I can always maybe use this for a trader if I don't like it. But anyways, like the song "Oh What a Feeling" is kind of like it's a Canadian classic, I guess you would call it. But anyways, Crowbar Classics. There's one album at the very end I want to talk about really quickly, just to appease my the nerddom in me. But anyways, got a couple UB40 albums, nothing to jump up and down about, but Rats in the Kitchen and Jeffrey Morgan. These two are actually very fine albums. I prefer this one over this one, but UB40, two UB40 albums, Rat in the Kitchen and Jeffrey Morgan. See, now I'm really trying to blow through this to kind of save some time here. Yeah. Did I mention Happy New Year's to everyone? I probably did. This album isn't valuable in any way, but it's kind of the only reason I picked it up because it has a bit of a folklore around it. It's the Here's Johnny Magical Moments from the Tonight Show on Casablanca Records, 1974. And if you're a bit of a Kiss fan, you guys all know that I'm a bit of a Kiss nut. This kind of, oddly enough, kind of has a little bit of a Kiss tie-in. Because, if you'll indulge me for a second, unless you've turned me off already. 1974, Casablanca Records was a new record label. They had just signed Kiss, 1974. That's when their first record came out anyways. And Neil Bogart, the owner of Casablanca Records, had got the rights to release this album from The Tonight Show. And he was dead sure this album was going to be a massive, massive monster hit. So he pressed up millions of them. And the album stiffed. It did nothing. It didn't help that, from what I've read anyways, Johnny Carson wouldn't promote it on his show. I think he showed it once. But after that, he didn't promote it at all, which kind of sealed its fate. But which left Casablanca sitting on just tons and tons and boatloads of this album because it just bombed. No one wanted it, and the kind of people figured out that Johnny Carson is best to be seen rather than just heard his funny bits. How this plays into Kiss is Casablanca Records almost tanked. They almost went under because of this album. They were so far in debt. And then comes along Kiss is their first rock signing. If you're in any way familiar with Kiss, you'll know that after their third album, Dressed to Kill, if they had no money, Casablanca had no money to pay them any more royalties, nothing, that they decided to make Alive out of desperation because they had no money to record a new album. Casablanca was on the brink of collapse from this, and also the cost of what it took to keep Kiss on the road. And then Alive, of course, was the big blockbuster breakthrough, and then everything was fine. But I just find it interesting that this one album was this close to sinking Casablanca Records, a brand new record label. It would have been bankrupt on the basis of one album. And then Kiss, as we know it, it may be a stretch to say, but Kiss might not have actually existed. And in the comment section, I'm sure people are going to say, I wish they never existed. But let's push that aside and just have some respect that I'm a fan. So, because no other label wanted Kiss, Casablanca was the only label that would take them as they were with makeup and all that stuff like that. So, chances of them finding another label after Casablanca may have tanked after this album was probably unlikely. So, one of the biggest rock bands of all time may or may not have existed because of Johnny Carson, who I grew up watching anyway, so I'm a bit of a fan of his. But having said that, he's dead now. He's not really listening to me. But Johnny, you could have promoted this album. Anyways, and also having said that, it's kind of wrong to say it was Johnny Carson's fault. It's kind of Neil Bogart's fault for pressing so many copies of that record, kind of like the Kiss solo albums. Really, he almost sealed his own fate. So, having said that, I'm going to try to end this before the 30-minute mark. Hope you, thank you for indulging me with my little stories about that, and then my little stereo setup things I talked about. I kind of really wanted to share that with you. If you're having maybe a similar problem with mine, or if you want to maybe improve your sound of your stereo with a inexpensive fix, that Pile PP999 phono preamp, which you can kind of get everywhere, was a really nice, inexpensive fix. I'm really happy with it. I want to say thank you to everyone out there who watches my videos. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to a great 2019 with all of you out there. I want to say thank you to my wife. I love you. Thank you very much for the probably maybe my best Christmas ever. I'll say cheers to that. And that's it. So for the first video of 2019, I think that was extra blah, 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 blah on my part. But there you go. And as someone pointed out to me, I just passed the 1,800 subscriber mark. It takes other people to point that out to me. But anyways, so I want to thank you for that. I really do appreciate that. So anyways, for the first video, for the first time in 2019, this has been David Michael, a.k.a. Nazz Nomad. We'll see you next time. Take care, everyone. Happy New Year.